There's a moment, and if you've been watching the show as long as we have, you know exactly the kind of moment. I mean, where a plan sounds almost reasonable, almost brave. Charlotte and Danny deciding to break into Wyndemere is that kind of moment. And guys, the more I sit with it, the more something in me just tightens. Because on paper, sure, it makes emotional sense. Jocelyn is in there. Someone has to move. But there's a difference between a plan that makes emotional sense and a plan that actually holds together under pressure. And this one, if you ask me, has some serious cracks running through it before they even get to the front door. Charlotte has history with that castle. She grew up inside those walls, and I think that's exactly what makes this both useful and dangerous at the same time. Familiarity can be a gift. We all know that. But it can also make you careless in ways you don't even notice until it's too late. And the version of Wyndemere that Charlotte carries in her memory, that's a different castle. Sidwell has had time to make it his own, to rearrange things, to fill in corners with people and systems that Charlotte never knew existed. If she walks in expecting the place she grew up in, she might be reading from a map that no longer matches the territory. That's what keeps nagging at me. And then there's Cullum. Guys, I cannot stop thinking about Cullum. Because if he already knows what Charlotte and Danny are planning and everything points to the fact that he does, then the real question isn't whether they can get inside. It's whether someone is already waiting for them when they do. That quiet tip-off, Cullum whispering to Sidwell without making a visible move himself, that's the kind of play that's almost impossible to trace. It doesn't look like a betrayal from the outside. It just looks like bad luck falling on two people who thought they had a head start. And maybe that's the cruelest part of it. You can't fight bad luck. You can't see it coming. So if Sidwell already knows, he doesn't need to scramble. He just needs to be patient. Let them come in. Let them feel for a few minutes like they have the upper hand. And then close the door behind them. I think Charlotte and Danny have underestimated him. And look, I say that with some reluctance because it's not like they're being reckless for no reason. When you're moving on urgency, when part of you, especially if you're Charlotte, still feels some deep connection to a place, you don't always stop to ask whether the person waiting on the other side of this is sharper than you're giving him credit for. But Sidwell has held that castle. He's held Jocelyn. He hasn't made obvious mistakes. That tells us something about the kind of person we're dealing with here. So now picture it. Charlotte and Danny are inside, and things start to unravel. Sidwell's people are moving through the corridors. Maybe Charlotte spots a passageway she used as a child, some narrow back route that no renovations would have touched, and maybe that buys them a few minutes. But a few minutes is an escape. A few minutes is just a delay before the same wall closes in from a different direction. And what I can't stop imagining is how total the chaos becomes. Not organized, not controlled, just this mounting disorder where everyone is reacting and no one has the full picture. And somewhere on the other side of that chaos, something else is happening. Jocelyn, because here's what we need to remember about her. She has been waiting, watching, calculating her moment. She is not passive in this. And when the chaos hits, when Cassius gets distracted or overconfident or just caught looking the wrong way, she moves. She attacks. And maybe she gets out. Maybe she actually makes it through a door and into open air for the first time in what feels like forever. But she doesn't know what's happening behind her. And that gap, guys, that gap in information is genuinely heartbreaking to think about. She's running toward freedom without any idea that the very chaos she's escaping was caused by two people who walked in trying to help her. Charlotte and Danny are running deeper into the same trap Jocelyn just broke out of. And she doesn't know. She can't know until she finds Rocco or Britt. And they tell her If you ask me, this is the moment everything turns on because Jocelyn is standing outside. She is free. She is breathing real air. And now she's being told that two people who came in for her are still trapped inside, maybe cornered, maybe already grabbed, maybe already being moved somewhere. She'll never find them. Does she go back in? I think she does. I genuinely think there's something in Jocelyn that would not let her walk away from that. But I also think the second she makes that choice, some part of her already knows she is gambling her freedom on a situation she can't fully read. She doesn't know how many people Sidwell has positioned inside. She doesn't know the castle the way it is now. She just knows that our people are in there. And if she goes back in, I think she gets caught. That's the part that sits heaviest with me. Because if Sidwell ends up with all three of them, Jocelyn, Charlotte, Dani, then this rescue attempt doesn't just fail. It becomes a deeper problem than the one it was trying to solve. Three people, possibly locked underground in a basement that no official record even acknowledges exists. A space the police wouldn't think to search. Wouldn't know to search. Rocco and Britt are the one thread that doesn't get cut. They know they can call someone and the police will come eventually. But there's a window of time before that happens. And I keep thinking about what that window actually means. Three people in the dark, in a place that technically doesn't exist, while Sidwell still has the clock on his side. How long is that window? And what can happen inside it? I don't have a clean answer for that. And honestly, maybe that's the point. Maybe none of us are supposed to feel settled right now. But something about all of this feels like it's building toward a moment that's going to be harder to watch than we're expecting. Not because of the action, because of what it costs. The choice Jocelyn makes when she could have just run. The things Charlotte thought she remembered about a place that turned out to have changed in all the ways that matter. The trust Dani put into a plan with one too many holes in it. We keep circling back to Cullum, don't we? And I wonder, what if the betrayal is actually the smallest part of this story? What if the real damage isn't what he told Sidwell, but what it quietly set in motion? A whole chain of choices made in good faith, pulling people deeper and deeper into the dark. That's what I can't let go of. Whether anyone in that castle, on any side of this, truly understands what they've started. And whether by the time the lights come back on, any of us are going to feel okay about how we got there.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.